love to talk to strangers. But for Dad, he viewed each shift change as an opportunity to meet yet another new friend. On his last night in the intermediate care unit at the 7 p.m. shift change, the RN, Rachel from Marquette, came on duty and exclaimed, "I'm so happy you're still here." Well, not under the circumstances, but you know what I mean.
Number 3, don't be afraid to brag about your family, even if you don't have all the details exactly right. Dad told everyone that Lynette was in charge of all the plants and animals on Isle Royal. Mom tried to correct him that she was an ecologist, and he said, "Well, no one knows what that means." While I was working remotely in his room, Dad was telling everyone I was the office manager in a law firm. After a few days, I corrected him what my actual job was, and he later told Marcel, "Guess what? Nellie got a big promotion at work today."
Number 4, laugh at yourself. As Dad's oxygen needs increased and he found himself in some very unpleasant situations, we worried he would get discouraged and feel like giving up. But it didn't take long after one of these situations for Dad to find humor in the story and then take joy in retelling it to others. There were many times that Dad said, "Take a video of that and send it to Margaret." Dad had to endure respiratory therapy treatments 4 times a day in which they attached a vest to him, plugged it into a machine that literally pounded against his chest for 15 minutes at a time. He affectionately referred to the therapist as Captain Boom Booms. And they told us most people really hate this, but Dad said it was like riding in a Model T. As the respiratory therapist was about to insert the tubes of the ventilator into his throat, he said, "Is that going in my mouth? It looks like I'm going to outer space. Can you take a picture of that for Rosie? She'd get a kick out of that."
Number 5, call your friends. In the hospital, Dad had his ancient phone book from home and a notebook that he kept a to-do list of friends to call. The day before he went on the ventilator, he called Jim Crawford to get someone's phone number and jokingly told him, "Hopefully I don't have any business for you soon." Less than an hour before going on the vent, when he could no longer speak on the phone, he was still frantically motioning to our mom to call the next person on the list. "Call Dan, the Amish guy."
Number 6, tour Lambeau. At the hospital in Green Bay, Dad became fixated with the fact that I had never had an official tour of Lambeau Field. He wanted me to go in the worst way, but I wanted to spend more time with him. When I went back to Oregon and then came back, as Dad was barely able to breathe anymore, just before he went on the vent, he said, "Sell, Lambeau." And so we went to Lambeau, Mom and my nephew Stephen and I, and Lambeau was amazing. And I repeat that life lesson, tour Lambeau.
Number 7, family is number 1. On New Year's Eve, after being taken from his beloved UP, transported to the St. Vincent ICU in Green Bay by ambulance, and not allowed to eat solid foods, hooked up to multiple machines, Dad repeatedly proclaimed that this was the best New Year's Eve ever, as all of us were together, and family was the most important thing to him.
Number 8, family is actually number 2. Rosie was number 1. Rosie was the love of his life. Mom and Dad recently celebrated their 50th anniversary, and we will leave you with a poem that Lynette wrote about their love.
It all started in 1974 when Buckshot saw Rosie walk through the door. Tending bar at the tavern, doing his duty, he stopped in his tracks, stunned by her beauty. Not too long